Guys, we are recording the session. Just so that all of you know, we've begun recording our session. So after this, we will be able to edit the recording and share with you all, just in case anyone missed anything. For those who just joined us, my name is 𝗦𝗵𝗶𝗘𝗢 again, and I am the founder of 𝗦𝗫𝐻 Foundation. Thrilled to have you all here and looking forward to all learn together from our great speaker today. Today's session is only running for 1 hour. So we have a structured presentation, and then we will have the Q&A, and then we will wrap up. So I can already see the energy in the chat, and this is exactly what we really hoped for. So without further ado, allow me, guys, to briefly introduce our speaker today. I am very honored to introduce Evelyn Kimani. She's here to share with you guys practical and actionable insights that you can be able to implement immediately. What makes Evelyn very unique for today's session and really fit for today's topic is because she understands the unique challenges facing African entrepreneurs, particularly women. She is a woman, and she is also supporting, well, both men and women, but a lot more women who are running businesses. So she's not just sharing theory today, she is sharing battle-tested strategies with you today. So join me and help me give Evelyn a warm welcome. Evelyn, the stage is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Such a warm introduction. Thank you, everyone. Welcome, founders and future founders. Thank you for making time, for joining us in this call. The topic for today is Startup Pack. Before we start there, my name is Evelyn. A brief introduction about myself is I'm a mom of 2 boisterous boys. Very busy boys, keep me very busy. We are originally from Kenya, but now we relocated to the UAE, and we've been here for 10 years. And I started my business about 4 years ago, and it's been working here in the UAE, but I serve clients in Kenya, in the larger Africa, and also in other parts of the GCC as well. So for the next few minutes, we'll be going through some of the methods that I use when I support the people that I support. I mostly work with founders who are scaling or at the start of their businesses, and I help them not only set up their operations, but also understand what the foundation of their businesses is supposed to be. And that's where we're going to start from today. So one of my values, which we're going to talk about today as well, your own personal values, is candor with kindness. So I will request for you to be honest as well as you put your comments in. Be honest with the place you are in your business, the place you are in your mindset right now. This is a safe space. I believe that we are all coming to learn and grow, and I'm also going to be learning from you. So please put a lot of honesty and feedback as well, and feel free to use this space to really gain for you and hold it for yourself as well. All right, so that's a little about me. Let's get into it. So the topic when I was asked to talk about this was really what people would need when they're starting. But I believe that this is something people need even as they continue, as they grow, because business is not meant to remain the same forever. So just by a show of hands, how many of us here already have businesses? Just raise your hand. Okay, nice. Yes, I can see hands going up. And how many of us have been thinking about a business? I saw some, I think, drop in the chat, but I've not started the business yet. Yeah, there you go. So that's good. So for all of us then who have businesses and who have been thinking about businesses, I want yourself to put yourself into this. This will be an action-packed session. bring your notepad and start to really think deeply about some of these things. So the three must-haves that I believe that every person who, is in business should have is your foundation. Your foundation is your mission, your vision, your values, and your boundaries. And we're going to go deeper into some of this a little later. And the other thing is a clear problem that you're solving. So like, what's unique about you? If, for example, I saw somebody say they want to start or they're already doing a startup in an NGO in Nairobi. I saw somebody mention a fitness center. There are so many fitness centers, but what is unique about how you're solving that problem? So it has to be very clear for you. And then one simple way you'll get customers. So a lot of times we get very bombarded with, you need to have a website and you need to have these platforms and that thing and that thing. And I don't ascribe to that. I think when you're starting or when you're in a position of what do I do next for the business of scaling, you need to have one method that is proven and tested that you use to get your customers. And we're going to talk more about that and why I completely believe in that. And if you have questions, as Linda said, please put them in the chat and I'll be having a look at them and we'll go through each of them as much as we can on the call. So let's start with your business foundation, your mission. Your mission is your North Star. This is the outward facing thing of why you're doing what you're doing. This is what people get to know about why you want to solve the problem you want to solve. Business in essence is really you providing a solution for a problem that people already have and you solving the problem uniquely. So then this becomes more than about making money. It becomes about how you are going to solve this person's problem or this people's problem or this group and set of people. Then we move on to your vision. Why do you want to do what you do? And how will that look 3 years from now, 5 years from now? I know a lot of us have had the hump where if you succeed in business for 3 months, then you will succeed for 3 years. And if you succeed for 3, then you will move to 5. There are all these steps that you need to get through, but what is your vision for how your business can look like? Not just now, but 5 years from now. How will you continue to serve? How will you continue to provide the same solution for people? And how will it continue to transform lives? Because in most businesses, you are impacting people. So what transformation are people receiving from you now? And how will they continue to receive it in the future? Values is inward. So values is really how you feel about what you're doing, what your principles are. Like I mentioned when we started, one of my values is candor with kindness. So that is how I respond to my clients. So a lot of times, because I'm sitting with business owners and founders, I'm in a position where I speak into their businesses and I have to do it with a lot of honesty. But my value is kindness. I have to do it with kindness as well. So that's the same as well for the people who work with me, my contractors, the people that are in my team, the people that I'm serving as well. There's always kindness that is within all those relationships. So what's a value for you that is completely non-negotiable in the way people speak to you, in the way people maybe transact with you? And that needs to be known from your inside going out as well. And that will also be how you make decisions. For example, that helps you decide if a client is a good fit or not a good fit, if they are not crossing or hitting against some of your values. Then another one that a lot of people I feel ignore is boundaries. So those of us with businesses, how many of us have had a client who we feel, there's just something about this client that is hitting against something and I can't wait to be done with them. But we've said yes, so now we are committed. You could just raise your hand. I'm not going to ask anybody questions. Yeah, because that's the thing. They are hitting against a boundary. But most of the time, we've not articulated what this boundary is. So we know we don't want to work with them. We know that there's something about them that is irking us, but we don't know what that is. And that's why people say sometimes not all money is good money. And this is where that comes from. It's the boundary thing. So what are the clients you will not work with? What are the things you will not do? If you're providing a service, are there things that you will completely not do? Are there things that you're like, you know what, even if they pay me this amount of money, this I will not do, is crossing a boundary? Have you set that up? Do you know it? Does your team know it? You know? So these are the things that I think a lot of times we skip through when we're forming businesses, but this is really where it starts. It not only goes into how we do the business from now all the way to 5 years, it goes into our teams, it goes into the clients we accept into our business, it goes into the partnerships we accept into our business. They all come from this lens of your mission, your vision, your values, and your boundaries. So the next things we talked about, now this is the meat of the thing where a lot of people want to come in fast, is what's your clear problem? So I'm just going to pick one business that I see here, and we're just going to talk about it. If you have one as well and you feel like you want to add it, please go ahead and add it. I see Victoria put in mental health in Nairobi. So that's the idea that you have, right? And you know that people need this. So I don't know, Victoria, if you can unmute yourself, if you're in a position to, and you can tell us, is this a business that is already working, or is this a business you're thinking about starting?
Good afternoon, and thank you. I'm currently working under somebody in the mental health space, so that I can get the ropes on how to start my own business. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Amazing. Okay, so this is good. So we're going to use Victoria's idea and think about it also from your own idea for those of us who have not started and are thinking of it. So we have an idea. We want to work in the mental health space. These are the clients we want to serve, and we know how we want to serve them. Can we name 10 people with this problem? So Victoria, I'm going to put you in the spotlight here, but can you name 10 people with this problem? And these people, have they acknowledged that they have this problem, and would they pay to solve it? Do you know any of that, Victoria?
Yes, I know. I'm specifically in marriage and family space.
Okay.
So this is churches, schools, corporate, individuals, couples, teens, children. Yes.
Yes. Amazing. So that's really good. So that's something you already know. That's a clear problem that is there, and you know people who can pay for this. So that's also just the challenge that I'll put for us, for those who are starting a business and are thinking of the business. You have to stress test your business. And I like to say, if you can find 10 people that you can ask, hey, is this a problem for you? Would you be willing to pay? And if so, how much would you be willing to pay? Then that's a business I can say that let's follow, because we've talked to the potential customers, we've had them speak, we've validated what we're building. Before we even start to build, we already need that validation that there are people available who are willing to pay for what we want to solve. And by listening to them, we're able to learn more ways we can be able to solve it for them just before launching, and thinking about, we need a website and we need an office and we need all that. Most often we don't need to start there. Then the other thing is one simple way to get customers. So I started my business 4 years ago, and 3 years in that business, I was able to scale it to 5 figures without having a website, without being on social media, without really having the customary ways people say you need to grow your business. Why? I had one way of getting customers. So when I started the business, as I said in the beginning, when I started, I don't know if I mentioned this, I started my business when I was 38 weeks pregnant. And I say started because I had already had it before, but I was working full-time, just like Victoria, and I'm sure many of us. I was working full-time, but I was stress testing this business. I was working with people. I was finding out, would people pay for this? Would people be willing to pay for this service? And by the time I was 38 weeks, I went to a meeting with my first long-time client. And when she said yes, then I knew that I'm ready to actually quit my full-time job after my maternity and come and do this thing full-time. So I didn't have any fancy marketing. I just had one way, and this was through community. I knew that there are spaces of community for women who are in business that need a COO, that need the support operationally on what systems to get, how do I start, how do I build, I have this idea, how do I move it from A to B? But those people hadn't even, it's not something they advertise that this is what I need. They put their head down and they continue to build. So when I found that space and I went to my 10 people and I asked them, would you need this? Would you pay for this? How much would you be willing to pay? Let's get started. I continued to test and test and test and change and change. Iterations happened through those 2 years until I was able to finally see, fine, awesome. Now I can be able to exit. So that's one challenge also I'd like to give to you. What's your one simple way to get customers? Victoria mentioned places which she's clearly already identified. Churches, that's one way she can get her customers. Schools, that's one way she can get her customers. So what's your one way that you can get your customers? It does not have to look like anybody else's. It does not mean that you have to have what someone else has, but what is your unique attribution that would make your one way of getting customers easy for you? And that would be a way that you can use even for 6 months or 12 months without ever advertising as your way of getting customers. It can be your TikTok, it can be your Instagram, but it's your one way. So think about it. Think about your existing connections, your social media, your local community. How are you building these relationships? Those 10 people that you asked, can they tell another 10 people? Have you simplified your problem so much that they understand and they can identify it in other people? The thing about even just getting customers is being able to simplify what you do so much that someone else, when they hear a problem, they think, I know Victoria who does this, or I know Linda who does this, and they can solve it for you. And those become your ambassadors, and that becomes your channel of getting clients as well. So it doesn't have to be super complex. I know we all have heard of AI and SEO and this and that's the other thing. It doesn't have to be that complex. Is finding ways that we can use in what we have fast and what we know and the places and spaces that we're actually in. Do we have any questions? I'm just going to open the chat and see if we have any questions so far. Okay, I don't see any questions. If questions are arising, please feel free to stop me and let's get into it. Sorry, I can see Rana. Rana, you've raised your hand. Please go ahead and mute yourself.
Hi. So how to figure out that one unique way?
Sorry, just ask that again.
How to figure out that one unique way to get your clients?
How do you figure out the one unique way to get your clients?
Yes, for your business.
Okay, good question. One thing I would say that how do you figure out one way is what comes most naturally for you. For example, for some of us, it comes more naturally to speak into a camera. Do that. If that's your one way and you already have a following online, do that. Speak into your camera, tell people that this is the solution I'm offering, this is the business I've started. If you hear anyone who wants this service, direct them to me. If you're already maybe in a community or in church and you're already serving, you're volunteering, if that's your easy way to speak to people, for me, it was speaking to other women in business. That was my easy way. Talking to them, understanding why they started their business, what is motivating them to stay in business. That was my easy way. That was my safe space. That was my way to go learn, iterate. And that became that was my one way to get clients for a very, very long time. Anyone else with a question? Rana, did I answer your question?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so earlier we just mentioned that businesses have, life cycles. There's the 30 days, there's the 3 years, and there's the 5-year mark. And a lot of businesses do not make it to 5 years. So for those of us with businesses, how many have made it to 3 years or 3 months even? Just raise your hand. Nice, congratulations. Giselle, Rana, congratulations. That's really good. So the reason why a lot of businesses do not get to 3 years or to 5 years or even sometimes to 3 months is some of these reasons that we are going to go through here. And if any of them make sense to you, or you felt them, or they've been something that you struggled with, please just give us a thumbs up, so that we see that the other people in the room going through the same challenges that we are going through. So one is perfectionism. That's usually a very big one, because we wait for the perfect moment. We wait for everything to align. We wait to have all the funds. We wait for the website to be ready. We wait to say, let me have my savings so that I can start. And that's just analysis paralysis. You're endlessly preparing and you're never going to be ready. It's not going to be enough. So just start. If you have an idea, test it, test it, test it, test it. If you get nothing else from this, get that. Is really test it, and see if it works, and see what people say. See see how people receive it. Another thing is overthinking. So we plan for 2 years. We say, I'm going to be saving for 2 years, and then after 2 years, I'm going to quit. And when I quit, I'm going to start. And when I start, I have enough. And you're going to be in a continuous rat race. Why? Because the idea you had 2 years ago has completely transformed in another 2 years. People are not solving it the same way. The same people you are going to solve for are not the same people who are there now after 2 years. So at what point do we stop testing? Well, that's a good question. Now is the point that you stop testing. It depends. Listen, if you've had a business and you have tested 10 people and you've tested another 10 people, and you're feeling like out of the 20 people you've tested, let's say half of them have agreed to pay you for your service, I think it's time to stop testing and start. And the thing about testing is it doesn't mean that because you start to solve the problem and have the idea and have the solution, you will not continue to iterate it, to change it, to fit into the market. It will continuously be that. It will continuously, you'll be changing and iterating. Doesn't mean that you're testing anymore, but you are just making changes, making amplifications, adding what the customers are asking for, seeing what the market is needing, maybe removing some things, adding some things. So there will always be that iteration aspect of the business. However, testing, I think if out of the first 20, if half of them pay you for your solution, go forth and launch it to the rest of the world. Another thing that kills a lot of businesses before, and they don't get to the 5 years, is going at it alone. So you have your idea, and sometimes, I don't know, in some cultures we are told, don't tell another person. They're going to take it and they're going to do the business that you want to do. So don't tell another person. So that's something that I would really recommend for you not to be trapped in. Share your idea with other people, see if they understand it, see if they would pay for it, and have those conversations, especially with your customers. Look for your customer. And sometimes you could think, for example, again, I'm just going to use Victoria because she gave us the idea. You could think that church would be where I would get my people. But once you start talking to those people, you realize, you know what? No, actually, that's not where I'd get my people. My people would be from another place. So don't avoid customer conversations. Continue to have customer conversations and get real answers from them. And they start to validate you early, and they validate you often. And they continue to help you evolve. And maybe you're thinking, I can only offer this in Kenya, but maybe you can offer it globally already without even waiting to grow it for 5 years in order to start offering it globally. But you can't know that until you start to have those conversations. So don't do it alone. Share your idea, share your solution, and see what other people are saying about it and how you could do it. Because even if someone else takes your idea, they can't take the source of how you do it. That is completely unique to you. Then fancy fast is what I was mentioning through the conversations we've had, is really just, we get so trapped in, I need the technology, I need a POS system, I need a way to invoice, I need a way for this, I need a way for that. You really don't need that. For the first 10 people you serve, You really just need to have a solution to their problem and a way for them to pay you. That's it. If you're in Kenya, we have M-Pesa. If you're outside, you have even your personal bank account. You don't need to open a business bank account for them to be able to pay you. But for those first 10 people, make it easy for them to pay you. Make it easy for you to start. Make it easy for them to come back and recommend. You will build the systems. I'm very much a systems girl. I'm not saying forget the systems and don't do the business in the right way. No, but I'm saying it's not the first thing that you actually need in your startup phase. You need to be able to start with what you have and then evolve as it grows. Then the all or nothing, quitting your job prematurely, having an idea today and saying I have to start it now because if I don't start it, someone else will and the idea will go away. No, that's not true. It is absolutely not true. The idea will not go away. You will still have it. You will still make it. So you first need to do it in parallel. If you can, do it when you're working somewhere. If you cannot, create a safety net around what it is you're trying to start, but make sure that people are willing to pay you for what you're offering before you start. That would be my one big recommendation from this. I'm going to take a pause, take some water. If we have any questions, Linda, I don't know if I saw like a question came in. I'm not sure. Do we have a question?
Sorry, I think the last question that came in was from Giselle, and you answered that.
Okay.
The Q&A is open, guys, so feel free to drop your question on there. There are also several questions that came on the registration form. We'll be reading them. I don't know if you want them read, a few right now and then later, or I'm not sure what.
Yeah, we could look at a few now.
Okay.
Sorry, we have Giselle raise her hand. Giselle, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I was really curious on the testing bit. And you mentioned that, I mean, out of 20 have do pay for the product or are willing to engage your services.
Yeah.
You could then proceed, and as you've mentioned, you keep iterating and just making adjustments depending on the market and your client's needs.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking, on the other hand, at what point do you stop testing it?
Yeah.
When you realize completely this is not working? Like,
Yeah.
when is it ever too soon to give up, or what do you look out for? Or again, as you've mentioned, a lot of businesses don't make it beyond the third year birthday.
Yeah.
What point then do we make, I don't know, do you keep making those changes, or when do you now say for sure
it's not this one?
Yes.
Okay, I hear you. That is a good question. Do you have an idea of a business that you're willing to share for us to review?
Yes. One of them was running a salon.
Okay.
And really excited. Got the seats. It's quite expensive to furnish a salon.
Yeah.
And then 2 months you think probably it's peaking, and people are telling you it takes a while. So you keep hoping, you keep praying, but all this time you're paying rent from your pocket. You're paying the workers, employees from your pocket. Sometimes then maybe 1 month things seem to be looking up, but not so good.
Yeah.
But you keep doing it and realize, oh, I'm not sure. However, it's a lot of investment, so you're also attached to it.
Yes.
So when really
do you say you need to move to another business?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what do I do with my investment?
That's a good question, and a good thing for all of us really to contribute into. I'm going to start, and if anyone else has something else to add on according to their experience, please do unmute yourself and share. This is the thing about business, that there are no certainties in businesses. And anybody who's going to tell you there's a certainty is really wrong. And also a reason why businesses don't stay for long is because there is a waiting period. As you wait, you iterate and you change. Now, for example, in a salon business, there could be, it's a time thing. It could be it's a location thing. It could be it's a service thing. It could be it's a pricing thing. So there are a few things that you could look at to see, first of all, before I fully close this, and there is no shame in closing, I don't believe that you should run a business that's not making you any profit forever and eternity. I really do not believe that. You do need to, first of all, do your internal analysis to check, is your pricing okay? Is your location okay? Is your service people okay? How long have you been doing it, and how long do you have a safety net? Like one of the things I said is create a safety net. How long can your safety net take you to get to the next place? Are you in a position to bring in a co-founder? Are you in a position to bring in an investor? If it's something that you're passionate about and you see how it can work, and it's answering most of the questions that, listen, this business will be profitable in another 2 years. Do you have enough safety net, enough runway to wait for those 2 years? And if not, how can you inject money into the business now? Through a co-founder coming in, somebody coming in and pouring into getting an investor to come in. And if you look at it in the next 2 years, and it's, you do your analysis, you speak to an accountant, and they do the numbers and they tell you, in the next 2 years, you're not even going to break even. If anything, this is just going to continue to take your money. There is no shame whatsoever in stopping and changing. It doesn't mean you fully even change the business. Sometimes it's your delivery of it. Maybe you stop from having a physical space and move into doing it in people's houses. Maybe it's, a different thing, but there isn't one full answer until you've looked at the internal things of why the business is not working, and how long can your safety net take you before it actually does. And do you have that time, the patience, and the resources to wait until that time? And if not, and you've done this and you have your numbers, how do you feel about closing and doing something else? Has that answered your question? Yeah.
Asante.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other question?
Yes. Thank you. You answered part of the question I wanted to ask.
Yes.
But just to add on to Gisele's, what you've said, what you're saying is that failure is part of the journey. Failure, that's what I've seen in my last 1 year out of employment. Part of the journey is failure, just to be willing to fail and learn from that failure, and a lot of patience as we grow. Just to add on to what you said. But now my question was, what are the business milestones we should look out for in the life cycles that you mentioned of 3 months, 3 years, 5 years? Like what are the milestones we should look out for? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I have a method I call the 𝗦𝗵𝗲𝗘𝗢 method, and that method, what I was able to learn by being in the business and working with people in businesses. But the first thing is what we talked about, the mission, vision, values, and boundaries is what I usually start with my clients. But then after that, there are 7 pillars of businesses. In any business, whether you're 0 or you're a Fortune 500 business, there are 7 pillars of businesses, and some of that is what you look out for. So for example, because Gisela shared the financial steadiness, when we are going through the 𝗦𝗵𝗲𝗘𝗢 method with me, we look at the financial steadiness of that business now and that business 3 years from now. We look at the team growth, we look at the growth and development, we look at the innovation. Can this service that you're providing now, can it be innovated? Can it change? Can it evolve? Will it always be just this way? Will it always be, provided and shared with, and will it always be this product? Can it be another product? So these are some of the things that we look at, and these are pillars that you can use for any business, and those are and those help you when it comes to the 3-month evaluation. Okay, in 3 months, we've had this service, it's providing this, it's making this. Is it financially sound? Can it be innovated? Can it change? Okay, in another 6 months, you know, what are the steps? What are we looking at? Are we breaking even? Are we almost breaking even? We changed our pricing. Awesome. The pricing is now different. What is the pricing we're looking out to, you know, to do then? What's our visibility in terms of foot traffic? Are we available for people in terms of being online? Are we available for that if we want to do it that way? In terms of word of mouth, are we making ourselves visible? So there are about 7 of them that we usually look at, and those are the things that you start to look at in your milestones, and give yourself milestones of 3 months, 3 months, 3 months increments, or 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, and allow yourself to sit down and really just evaluate, where has it come from? What's my vision now moving forward? And what can I change, and what have I learned? And ask yourself if in 5 years you want to still be able to be doing your business in the model in which you're doing your business now. Has that answered your question?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, nice. So guys, we're almost done. I wanted to leave you with something actionable, and some of the questions you've been asking have been really good. So this is really for somebody who's thinking about a business and wanting to start a business. The first 30 days, this is what I'd tell you to do. First of all, of course, we've talked about validating your idea, talking to 5 people about your idea. There's no shame in learning that your idea doesn't make sense. And it's okay if somebody gives you that feedback. Give yourself enough grace to receive the feedback, because as business people, as Victoria said, there's a lot of patience and there's a lot of failing. And sometimes this failing is in public. And we just have to have the grace for that we might fail in public. And that's so, if you're okay with that, then you're okay to do business and you're going to make it. Then ask people, you know, just openly, would you pay for this? And again, don't ask people who would be telling you, I love this idea. Wow. No, just tell people who would actually give you the answer. No, I would not pay for this. Never would I pay for this. Because you need to be able to sit with that and receive that and be like, okay, if nobody would pay for this, why wouldn't they pay? And what will I do for them to be able to pay? And then you ask again until you receive your yes. And then you know, okay, so I've tested, I've iterated, this is what people are willing to pay for. And that journey from no to yes, I would pay for this, has already just evolved you as a business owner. Then listen more. Don't over explain and want to give a validation of, no, this is why you should pay for it. No, let's not do that. Let's receive, let's learn, let's take it in and take that feedback in. Then week 2, test demand. Have somebody actually pay for it. A small amount, a big amount, whatever it is, let them actually pay for it in a simple way so that they could pay you. Talk to your existing network that you already have. You don't have to even go far. And then just share your idea with them. When you receive the feedback, take notes of their reactions. Look at them when they're talking to you. Give them, eye contact. If you can have this even as an online call, have your cameras on. See how they receive it. See, do they have shock? Do they have wonder? Do they have awe? Are they pausing when you mention the price? If they're pausing when you mention the price, ask. I saw there that you paused when I mentioned the price. Why? Understand, is it that maybe it's not in their market, it's not in their pocket range, that's not what they can afford, and maybe that gives you information they're not your ideal client. You need to find another ideal client. It doesn't necessarily mean because they can't afford it you should lower your price. Then week 3, make your first sale. I'm hoping by this time you've already made a sale. Build something, anything not complex, a quick process. Hi, this is me. This is the service I offer. This is an email. This is what you receive. This is my payment method. 4 things, done. It's a simple process. It does not need to be complicated. As you build and evolve, it becomes complicated. If you're doing a product or you're in an actual shop, let people find an easy way to pay you. It doesn't have to be a POS system. It can be just an easy way for it to be paid. If you're delivering a product, let it be something easy. You can even deliver it yourself. But the point is to just really move you from here to there so that you actually get the momentum that you need. Then in week 4, sit down and plan your next steps. Now that you've gone through all these 3 weeks, what now are you willing to do for the next 30 days? If it worked, would you be willing to do it again? Would you be willing to deliver it in that method that people showed they have interest in? You know, and what did you learn, and can you adjust and try again? You know, do you have the strength to do it? Do you have the willingness to do it? Are you still happy? Because sometimes we have ideas we think that make us happy, and then once we're actually in it, we realize, I don't think I can do this for life. You know, then, you know, test that and change that. Yeah, so I've come to the end. Do we have any questions before I summarize?
We have a few questions. Thank you so much for that great presentation. Looking forward to at least implement something from today's session. So there are a few questions that were asked. I have been going through them and I have seen several being able to answer.
Yeah.
So I'll just pick on those that probably weren't touched on. One question said, how do you encourage openness and feedback from all levels of the organization? And what do you do when you receive negative feedback?
Wow, that's a good one. It's always hard really to receive negative feedback. It's not what you want to hear. But what I've learned for me in my experience, working in corporate and also just having my own business and having a team that I give feedback to, and they also give me upward feedback, is just the ability to listen. Listen and receive. And something that I've learned very recently is to pause. To pause before responding. A lot of times when we receive feedback, and sometimes when it's negative, we're usually fast ready to combat and respond and say, but what if you just receive that information first? See where they're coming from and ask questions. Before responding, ask questions. Because sometimes when you seek that clarity, you understand why. For example, I had a client who was not happy with our services. They felt that they were paying for X and they got Y. Now, we're in the service industry, we send proposals, there's a scope, of course, but when someone isn't happy, we receive it, we pause, and we say, okay, we'd like to know what exactly you weren't happy about. At what process of the journey were you not happy? Who was serving you when you were not happy? What image did you have of the result of us working together before we actually worked together? And we just got to understand that they understood the scope to look one way, and we had written the scope to look another way. But at no point in our journey had we stopped to fully understand that they understood what the scope is and that we were delivering what the scope was. So the feedback was negative, but it wasn't that negative because it just was an understanding and alignment thing. And also now we have that in our processes, that when we send a proposal with our scope, even if a client has signed, we have another meeting so that you understand where the scope is, what the phases of the projects are, and how that looks like, and how that image looks like in the end for you and for us. So if you're in a company that's giving feedback, that's one thing I'd say: pause, receive it, ask questions, and encourage it. Really, if you encourage the culture of giving and receiving feedback, it becomes easier. I hope I answered the question.
Awesome. I hope the participant who asked that question is on here, and I hope the question is answered for them. I would like to read probably two more before that. I think this was, I hope I'm getting it correct, but I think it was pretty much directed to you, Eve, in the sense, the question reads, what's the one thing that makes you want to start your own company? So I don't know whether this is probably someone who is thinking through starting their business or whatever, and maybe they're wondering what is the sign that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, okay. The reason for me, honestly, was very simple. I wanted agency over my time. I was working in corporate, and as you know, guys, when you're working in corporate, they have agency over your time. They know when you come in, when you come out, and when you should work and when you shouldn't. And I wanted to be able to have agency over my time. So that really was my biggest why before anything else. Before I sat down and realized what I want to do, it was what can I do that allows me to have agency over my time, that yes, I can continue to work, and yes, I do want to continue to work, but I want to have a certain type of flexibility. And that's how I landed doing what I'm doing.
Awesome, awesome. Just a follow up, so that the participant also gets probably that clarity. Someone who's thinking through starting a business, when do they know that it's time? When do they know that this is for sure what I should be doing or what I should get into? What are the things to probably look out for? One of them could be, yes, like you mentioned, agency over your time, but what are they probably 2 or 2 more things that they could look out for and know it's time?
Okay. Well, we've talked about this also in the session, really, is to test your idea, to know that it's really something people are willing to pay for. But I would also recommend starting from the mission part, even if it's just an idea. Start with, why are you doing this? What's your mission? What's your North Star? What is the one thing you're hoping to be known for? You know, that becomes your mission. It becomes what you're known for. I used to sell mangoes in the beginning of my career, and literally, honestly, the mango selling led me to what I'm doing today, because I learned how to juggle a lot of clients and a lot of priorities, waking up, going to the market, coming home, blending it. I used to deliver them to people's offices. So delivering it to people's office before I actually start my day. So when I asked myself what I became known for, they didn't know me as the girl who sells mangoes, but they knew me as the girl who is so organized in selling the mango juice, because I knew every client, I knew when they usually order, I knew when they were about to order, I knew when they were about to pay. So that was my mission. That was my why. That is what I was known for, being that organized person with a business that is really, somebody would say, is not fully like a full business, but it was so organized in the way I was doing it, and that became my mission. So yeah, go back to your mission, your vision. I knew I didn't want to sell mangoes all my life. I really did know that, but I knew that I could scale this to something else, and I'd sell mangoes and go to school. So that was my vision. And then your values. What are the things that are internal that can become external and become how you work with people, how you speak to people, how you collaborate with people? I'm really big on collaboration, really big on building community, really big on being known, really big as a connector. I always take this person who knows this person who can work together. I always connect them, and I continue to do that in my business and in my personal life. And so opportunities always find me because of that particular aspect of myself as a value base. And my boundaries, because of my agency of my time, is because of my family. So my boundaries are, I don't work on the weekends. And sometimes I need to be in client sites or client offices or client meetings, or I need to travel. But even before that, my clients already know that's a boundary. So even when we are discussing that, they're like, Evelyn, I know this is not something you usually do. You don't work on the weekends. However, we need to have this meeting. Can we make time for it? So it becomes the foundation of why you're doing what you're doing, and it will lead you not only for now, but even 5 years from now.
Thank you so much for that answer, Evelyn. I can see Madeline's hand is up, but I have just one last question. Read the last questions. These are the questions that were on the registration form. If I don't read out your question, I have skipped several. I thought Evelyn touched on them during the presentation. So I hope it's a lot of questions around scaling up, customer acquisition and retaining them and whatnot. So I kind of feel like all that was touched on. But I know Evelyn, as we wrap up, will also let you know how probably you can reach out and probably have a personalized consultant. So I'm going to read the last question on here, and then Madeline can go right ahead and probably ask a question. So the last question here, Evelyn reads, how do you balance long-term and short-term vision while facing uncertainties in the business?
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a very good question, especially when facing uncertainties. I think at some point I did mention in business we cannot be certain. I think in life really there's nothing that is certain. So if you have your 30-day your 90-day plan and your 90-day vision, look at what you're looking at first. Look at that vision. Yes, build for 3 years, for 5 years, but look at the 90-day first and get to the 90 days before you get to the rest, because really nothing is certain. And of course, the business is how we provide for ourselves and our families, but we sometimes can get into the spiral effect of analysis paralysis when we start to look at things beyond that we can't control. We can only control what is ahead of us for now. And if it's the business and we want to continue with the business, we have to just look at the 90 days first, and then the next 90 days, and then the next 90 days. And we keep moving, we keep moving one step in front of the other. Because with us uncertainties, with economy, with governments, with things like that, there's only so much we can plan for.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Evelyn, for that. Madeline, your hand was up.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
So I believe, thank you so much, Evelyn, for the good talk. I believe everyone here has learned something from this. I believe the two questions I'm about to ask are from young people who have just entered employment and are struggling to balance personal life from work life and poor leadership from leaders. So how do we navigate that as young people who have just been employed?
Wow, it's a big one. Okay, so it's in two parts. Let's start with bad leadership. You said bad leadership from leaders?
Yes.
And the other one was?
How to balance work life from your personal life.
Yes. Boundaries. There is no other way to separate your personal life and your work life other than your boundaries. So your boundaries, they work even in employment, because if you have, for example, a certain boundary, like I'll use myself as an example. When I was in corporate, my boundary continued to be, I do not work on the weekends. So when I would get into a situation where my employer would require me to work on the weekend, or they would need me to work on the weekend, I would try to communicate it in a way that also makes me gain. So how do I mean by that? I would be like, I'm willing to work on the weekend, but only the first half of the weekend. I'm not available for the rest of the half of the weekend. And that's a boundary I'm not willing to cross. And when I communicate that up front, they know that whatever they're asking me to do has to end by 12 p.m. because I'm not willing to work for the rest of the day. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you get fired because you're communicating a boundary. If it doesn't say in your contract that you work 6 days a week, it says you work 5 days, then giving, above what you need to is something that you can negotiate for. And sometimes I'd always even just ask, can I be compensated? I'll be working on my weekend. This is my day off, and I would like to be compensated for that. So there's something in it for me as well. And the more I learned about how to speak up for myself, that also started to help when I moved into business, because clients will go out of scope, and I always just go back. And again, as I said, for me, it's honesty with kindness. I'm never trying to be rude or offensive, or I'm not trying to really just be combative. I always come from a place of honesty, but with kindness as well. So I would say if it's your personal life or your business, your work is encroaching onto your personal life, you have to create a boundary. And if your personal life is encroaching onto your work life, you have to create a boundary as well, because you are working to be paid for something, and nobody's going to be willing to pay somebody who is not willing to work. So that's that. When it comes to bad leadership, bad is a really big one, and it's big. It could be bad because they are not respecting a boundary, for example. Communicate that there is a boundary that needs to be respected and put in place for you, and for you to be able to continue to serve in the position that you're serving in, and see how they take it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I see Giselle has asked, should we communicate our boundaries to our clients? Absolutely. So I found a way to do it because, listen, I know we're serving clients and we can't be talking, all the time and telling people, I don't work on weekends, I don't pick my phone, It can't come off like that. That's not the kind of environment we want to create for our clients. So find a way to do it that works in your setup of business. So for example, for me and the clients that I work with, I usually create something I call How I Work. It's a little pamphlet that tells you how I work, when to communicate with me, when to reach me if something is urgent. So for example, I tell you that our projects usually last 90 days. I tell you that for me to respond to your email, I usually need 24 hours. I tell you that for urgent things, you can reach me on WhatsApp. I tell you that if you call me past 6 p.m., I usually am cooking for my boys. So I will not, be reachable for you. And so it's just a way to communicate your boundaries in a way that allows for you to say what you need to say and allows for your clients to receive it from you as well. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yes. Okay. So we're coming to the end. For those of you who are willing to put your camera on for us to take a photo, I'd really love that. That would be amazing. But in parting short, this is really just what I'd say. Your entrepreneurial journey starts today with you and yourself and the place that you're in today. And the best time to start, really, people usually say, is yesterday. But since you're here and it's now, start today and make small steps. And the small steps you make today will add up to what you'll be doing in the next coming years. So I'm just going to add my details here. Please, if you do the 30-day journey, reach out to me. Let me know how your 30 days went. Let me know what worked, what didn't work. I'm always so eager to hear from people who are dreaming and planning and working towards their goals. So do reach out. And if anything percolated for you in this session and you'd like to go deeper and talk further, feel free to scan and book a 20-minute consultation with me as well. I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn, so feel free as well to reach me there.
I am amazed. I'm really happy. I can see we can go another whole hour with all the questions and engagement. This engagement was really, really important, and really how it has gone shows exactly why 𝗕𝗎𝗎 Foundation exists. There's such hunger for practical business knowledge in our communities, and we will hold many more of these. So stay tuned, following us on our socials so that you can always know when we are holding such workshops and you can be part of this community. For questions we couldn't get to, or maybe you need some personalized support, like I mentioned, please feel free to connect with Evelyn. I can see there is a QR code that you can scan on the screen. Feel free to reach out to her, and you will be able to get the support you require, the personalized support that you require for your business. We'll also share, this recording maybe in the course of the week with all of you that attended, so that you're able to follow up. And maybe for those also who were not able to join and they had registered, or those that joined late and they missed bits and pieces of it, you'll be able to get that. Allow me to share my gratitude. Thank you so much, Evelyn, on behalf of everyone here, the attendees, pretty much the broader 𝗕𝗎𝗎 community. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us so generously today. The practical frameworks that you shared with us today will, of course, go to directly impact businesses across our communities, Kenya, and the continent as a whole. So I hope that all of us here are ready, they have their takeaways and are ready to implement something they learned on here going forward. To our attendees, thank you very much for making time. You've made our first Ask a CEO workshop, virtual workshop, a tremendous success. Your questions were insightful. Thank you for engaging with us. Thank you for your energy. And really thank you for taking the risk and the chance to be an entrepreneur. It's not easy, but everything is a risk. If you do nothing, it's a risk. If you do something, it's also a risk. So you pick what risk you want to go with. I wish you nothing but success. And hopefully we can continue to impact your business life as we go, as much as we can.